All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this daily forecast for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be Tuesday, June 30th, 2026. So, um, let's start by looking at the economic calendar, like usual. So, tomorrow we have some Canadian dollar news, GDP, which is going to be interesting. And then we have confidence and JOLTS at 10 a.m. for the USD, but not a lot of impact expected. It's only orange folders. So tomorrow should be an okay day. Not great, not good, okay. So still be careful. I think the second part of the week is going to be much more interesting. So if we start by looking at the dollar here, you can see that today we have disrespected this daily fair value gap. It's officially been disrespected. Let's remove this. All right. So, again, like I said in the weekly forecast yesterday, I was waiting for today's candle to close to have a better idea of what price wanted to do, and clearly, the the next target, we're heading for that weekly fair value gap. So tomorrow I'm seeing bearish prices here on the dollar until we reach that weekly fair value. Okay. And we can absolutely do that from this 4 hour fair value gap right here. It actually looks like a really good fair value gap to continue lower from. Um, so yeah, the bias for tomorrow is short here on the dollar like this. Okay. So that does look good. Let's take a look at which major is going to be the most interesting. Um, so we're expecting lower prices tomorrow, which means that we could potentially on AU, we could look for a long, but no, actually, never mind. No, it's not interesting. We just don't have any fair value gaps. It's a consolidation, basically. So no, GU to continue higher towards that weekly fair value gap. Okay, but we're already so close to that weekly fair value gap. So I'm not sure the RR is worth it here, if I'm being honest. Right now, the first candle, the first rejection, looks pretty good, and it does seem like it wants to continue higher from that far for value gap. But again, take into account the fact that the RR might not be worth it here because we're so close to the weekly fair value gap. But GU does look good if you're able to catch a very short term, very short move, basically. NU NU does look good to continue higher tomorrow, because we still have that daily fair value gap overlapping with that fair value area. So tomorrow we can definitely uh, trade higher towards that, and then once we're there, then we can have the reversal and start going lower. So let's see. Do we have? Uh, so the problem here on NU is that we don't have a 4 hour, an unmitigated 4 hour fair value gap in that leg going higher. We had this one right here, this one, which is really tiny. We respected them at first with this candle, but right now it does seem like price is turning bearish. So NU not too clear for right now. We don't have the best context, so I would be careful. USD Canadian to continue lower, trade back inside the weekly fair value gap. That does look good. Only problem is that we don't have 4 hour bearish fair value gap. So right now what I'm seeing and what could potentially happen is we are currently sweeping this rejection high. Okay? And so from that yellow line, if we can create maybe like a 1 hour fair value gap or a few 15-minute fair value gaps, then we could, start going lower like this towards the weekly fair value gap down here. So USD Canadian does look interesting. It's just about waiting for some context. I would honestly say wait for a 1 hour fair value gap being created under this yellow line, which is the sweep of the rejection high here. So let's move on to USDCHF. Yeah, this one not interesting. Well, could be interesting if you take the fair value area as a target because we still have some room to run. But if you're using the fair value gap as the target, then we're basically already reached it. So again, I'm not sure if the RR is worth it here, honestly. But but if you're using the fair value area as the target, then maybe we could create this for our fair value gap, then get a sting back into it to then reach that fair value area. So honestly, the majors are good. I would say USD Canadian is probably my favorite, along with um yeah, I think they just all the majors have a small tiny detail that creates a problem. Okay. So it's hard for me to choose, but I would say USD Canadian. USD Canadian, the sweep of that 4 hour rejection high is technically speaking, it's context, while it's unusual context. And so I believe we could continue lower from, yeah, lower from here until we reach the weekly fair value gap. So USD Canadian would be my pick. The metals, honestly, the metals today have been moving in such a great way. Was able to catch two home runs. Well, one home run. Um, so yeah, overall, really, really high probability price action today. Where on Friday last week we retraced back to the zero point 0.5 level, and then I said yesterday in the forecast, if you uh, remember, I said well, on Monday we should fail to create that bullish fair value gap, which is exactly what happened again. So very bearish day, minus 1.8% on gold. Um, Now it's not too clear. Well, actually, yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna remove these. So we do have a 4 hour fair value gap. It's not the greatest. It's pretty small, but I think that somehow we're gonna go lower from there. But the other thing is that we also have a range, which is this one. And so don't be surprised if we disrespect the 4 hour fair value gap and go all the way back up to, the zero point 0.5 level tomorrow to then have the real move lower like this. It's possible. So it's really about monitoring this for our fair value gap. If it fails, then the next target is the zero point 0.5. And if it holds, then you can trade already from it. Okay. But overall, the next target, if you look on the daily time frame, we should keep going lower for the remainder of the week until we reach this low. Silver. Silver was also, well, actually, no, that's not true. Silver was not as good as gold today. It consolidated a little bit more. Well, you can see it here, just on the daily time frame. This is more of a consolidation candle than this on gold. Um, so right now, I still think we can continue lower from the daily fair value gap. I just don't see a reason why we would start going higher to reach the zero point 0.5 to then move lower. I mean, it's possible. Just keep that in mind. Like, this scenario is possible, it's just not the most likely right now. So, yeah, I would be careful here with silver. It's not been moving as good as gold. And we don't have that 4 hour fair value gap. And right now, if we look at this 4 hour range, we are respecting it. We are respecting that zero point 0.5 level pretty well. So, yeah, honestly, I would stay away from silver. But if silver starts to move higher, then gold might move higher as well, and that would turn the tables a lot. But again, it's about react, okay? But these are the two scenarios here on the metals. Crude oil closed with no gain, no loss. It's basically flat on the day. But again, it's a third day in a row where we have, you know, we're struggling. It seems like there is some bullish momentum trying to push price higher, and that could lead to an expansion in the next few days before the end of the week, expansion to the upside. I'm still keeping my bullish bias on crude oil. Okay, so we'll see what happens here, but nothing happened today. So same thing as the weekly forecast, basically. Bitcoin consolidation, nothing crazy. I think Bitcoin is in for consolidation for the rest of the week because ideally we want to create that weekly fair value gap. So nothing has changed here on Bitcoin. It's just more consolidation. The indices, so a bit concerning here. Well, concerning. No, I still think we can continue lower. But basically, you remember on the S&P, we had this daily fair value gap, which we got the retracement back into today. And if you look at the Fibonacci on this range, that fair value gap corresponds pretty well with the golden level. And so I definitely think we are going to head lower from here tomorrow. That's I'm pretty sure about this, to be honest. And we don't have a 4 hour fair value gap going against. Well, we do have one. It's this tiny, ugly fair value gap, very weirdly created between this, and this. Like these three candles, they're just weird. So the fair value gap is probably not going to hold, and yeah, I'm definitely seeing lower prices tomorrow on the S&P. Um, a little bit harder to say that for Nasdaq, except that we do have this rejection high from the daily fair value gap. So potentially a sweep of this rejection high to then continue lower wouldn't be too crazy to see that, to be honest. So something like this. So yes, lower prices tomorrow on the indices. And finally, let's take a look at our crosses and all the New Zealand dollar pairs. They seem to be interesting all at the same time, which is funny. Um, but New Zealand dollar JPY, we're still waiting on that sting inside the daily fair value gap, and then from there we can continue lower. But first, we have to wait for that sting. So that's still waiting. New Zealand dollar CHF. Uh, I would personally be monitoring this for our fair value gap, see if it holds. If it holds, then wouldn't be too crazy to take a short from it. But be careful, it's not that clean. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar can trade back inside this daily fair value gap. So there's still some space to run here. Uh, but overall, what I think will happen is something like this on New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Then Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar has had the sting inside the weekly fair value gap. Now we just need to wait some evidence that price is reversing here. And right now we have no evidence whatsoever of that happening. So it's just about waiting. Then after that, we have Euro Australian dollar. Um, yeah, not too clear. I don't like it that much, you know. And GBP Australian dollar is the same. Potentially on GBP Australian dollar, if we can create that daily fair value gap, maybe could be interesting later this week. But for now, that's it for the crosses. So we have some good markets heading into tomorrow. On the dollar, we're expecting lower prices until we reach back inside this weekly fair value gap. And if I was going to trade the dollar tomorrow, it would be USD Canadian with using this rejection high sweep as the unusual context to target lower, which is the weekly fair value gap down here. Um, so that's what I would be doing if I was going to trade the dollar. Then for the metals, I would focus on gold because gold has been moving in a very nice way today. Um, so yeah, it's just about seeing on gold. That's the really important part. It's really about seeing, can this fair value gap hold? Because if it doesn't, then we're probably trading back into the zero point 0.5 level to then have the real move lower. So uh, it's about monitoring here. Then crude oil, uh, probably another consolidation tomorrow, but overall, I'm still bearish medium to long term. Sorry, I'm still bullish medium to long term. And then Bitcoin, just expect a consolidation tomorrow. And finally, the indices, just a quick recap, lower prices. On the S&P, lower prices are going to come from that daily fair value gap overlapping with that golden level. And on Nasdaq, it's probably going to happen from a sweep of the rejection high here on the daily time frame. So that's it, guys, for today's forecast. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in tomorrow's forecast. Ciao.